Hey guys, welcome to one more session. So in this session we'll be learning how to add materials to your model. So now what are materials? What do we add? So whatever modeling we do, so to have a surface finish, we add a material texture or a image of a particular material texture. Now for example, now I have this kitchen model done to a client. So you can see it down for the units, we have a texture on the shutters, wooden texture, and on the wall units and the loft, we have a plain solid texture, which are laminates. Now how to add them? So you can add one way, like you can add it from directly from Google. You can search for textures, or you can have a catalog from particular brands. So for example, if you have Merino laminates, you can have their digital swatches where you'll have to download from the internet. Or if you have a swatches catalog, you can just use the texture code and search it in the Google, and you can get the same texture as a digital swatch in the Google, in their websites or in the Google search image. So make sure when you download there are no watermarks on the texture swatches image, because once you start rendering, so even those textures which are having watermarks, even those watermark will appear on your render images. So now to add the textures, what to do is we need to have this materials on. So if you don't find this materials in your default tray, you can go to Windows, go to Manage Trays, click on Default Tray, and you can see here, you can just tick this option. If it is plain like this, you have to just enable it. So once it is enabled, your material will be shown over here. Now in material section, what you can have is, one, you can have here, you can have inbuilt materials from the Sketchup software itself. You can see colors. If you click, you have color swatches here, and if you click on glass and mirrors, you have glass and mirror swatches. If you click on patterns, you have patterns which can be used if as per your design which are you planning for. Then you have stones. These are all are like inbuilt, the tiles as well. But these are all like default, which the SketchUp has kept for easy access. So now to add more, what we can do? So to add more, you have to just click on this button. You can see here there is a square icon with half gray and half white. When you press on this, this becomes an empty swatch, a default swatch. Now to add material on this, you have to click over here, create material. So once you click on create material, this window will pop up. Now you can see you have your name. You can enter the material name. You can choose color if you want to just add a color, and you have your use texture option. Now this is to import any texture if you have downloaded, or if you have a folder where you have kept a collection of textures, might be of the floor tiles, might be of the laminates. So whichever if you have, which you will be using for your modeling, these will be the dimensions of that texture will be coming to this. This is the opacity. Now, so I'll just import a texture. So you can see we have created now a small rectangle. Let's consider this as a floor. Now I'll just click on browse material image file. So I have kept it in desktop. So now we can see here in texture files, I have two over here too for the practice purpose. Now here I'll be clicking on the floor type because we'll be adding a floor type. So once I have selected, you can see here the dimensions are put. Now since my units are set into mm for this project, it will pop into mm. So let's consider the tile will be by 2 by 2. So I'll just enter like 600, that is 2 feet. So it is like 2 by 2. Now if you have observed, when I enter 600 above, even the below also change to 600 itself. If I put 6000, you can see down this change to 6000. Now in case if you want this, the first one like horizontal to be 600 and the vertical to be probably one, for example 650, what you have to do is you have to break this chain and then you can enter. If I add 5, you can see now it is changed. So I'll just stick on to 600. It is 2 by 2. So I click OK. Now you can see the material is popped up over here. Now here you can just rename your material. Now like floor tile. Now you can see when I come to the viewport, my arrow mark has turned into a bucket. So now if I just click on it, now before applying the material, now this particular image is not grouped. Now, for example, this particular model is not grouped. Now I'll show you what happens if we are having the model not grouped and also group. Now let's just group this one floor and let's not group the other one. Now let's group this one floor and not the other one. So what happens here when applying? You can see I click on the shortcut for material is B. So B means bucket. So if I use a large tool, you can see the buckets over here. So now coming on to this, now if I just click outside and click on B, now if I apply on the surface or a model which is not grouped, you can see it applies only on this surface, not on this surface. But if I apply on a model which is grouped, you can see it is applied on the all the sides, bottom, side, left, right, all the sides. But in ungrouped model, it applies only on the surface where it is highlighted, or you can just have to apply manually for the all the sides. Now once you are applied, now you feel like the tiles which are displayed. Now once you applied the tile texture you applied, you may feel it is bit bigger. Doesn't look realistic. So what you can do to scale it, you can just go to edit. Now when you go to edit after applying, you can see these same options which we had over there. So for example, now I can change my numbers here. For example, I'll just add 300 one by one. Now you can see I don't need to reapply. It's already changing. So whenever you add a texture and you want to scale, it scales on real time on your applied model wherever the texture is applied. Opacity, let's not touch, but I'll show you how it works. Now if I decrease the opacity, you can see my texture is now see-through because the texture is applied is now the opacity has been reduced. Similarly, if I like reduce to 0, you can see there is no texture visible. So let's keep it to 100 itself. So we are not going to do any opacity in any of most of the projects. Like rarely people do like in 1% in their projects. Now coming on these options, we will show you later on because in the more deep parts, like in upcoming videos. So this is how you basically add. Now imagine you have added texture, you want to add one more texture or you want to replace the texture. So for that, I'll just take a model from my kitchen design. Let's consider or let me show you over here. Now let's see, you can go to view. Now you can see I've already added a texture over here. Now I want to replace. So what happens, some people what they do is if they want to replace a texture, so they will choose a texture. Now for example, uh, if I want, let's take a new material. I'm going to do the same process, create, and I'm going to choose this dark wood. Now what happens, the material is applied. Now let's just give a name as wood. Now, some what designers what they do, they keep on clicking on one apply. So I have to now to add this texture. So I have to click on the model since my model is grouped. So I need to go inside the group. For example, I have to double click and highlight the door, press on B and apply. So once the surface is highlighted, press on B, apply. Now if you see, I'll have to rescale it because the texture is not realistic how it is seen in the execution projects or in the real world. So this put a 600 for just for demo purpose. So now you can see now again if I want to change all this, I need to go again to the inside the groups, change the color and add, right? So this is a hectic way. So there's a shortcut way. What you can do is just go back, click on this sample paint, click or select whichever texture you want to replace. For example, I want to replace this. So I'll just click on it. Now you can see the material is shown over here. So the picker has picked the material. Now what I have to do is simply just go to edit, again come over here for browser for material image, click over there and I'll select hood. Now if I click on it, so whichever models were selected on that particular textures were applied before, changes to whole thing. Now if you remember, this two we had changed manually, but these are replaced for the old texture. Now if I change or scale, everything changes, which was picked by the picker, not the one which we manually changed. So if you want to replace a color, like for example, let's do one more example like this wall unit. Now I'll just click on it. So now this time I want to change the color. Now I can just click on the color wheel. You can see all the color changes. So you can choose a realistic color. So now I'm just doing a random color just to show you how it works. So this is how you apply your textures on your models. So this is a very simple method. You need not need to find an advanced method to add materials. Some just add, import textures, they scale it all. No, this is a very simple one. Just follow this step if you are a beginner. So once you get a hold on your SketchUp software and your modeling speed, then you can shift on to advanced designing. So hope this video on how to add material was useful. So if you do like it, do subscribe and share it to your fellow designers or a person who is looking to learn SketchUp software, who needs to improve their modeling. So do subscribe and stay tuned.